Today, I have a very special episode for y'all. I'm here with Harvey Young, Managing Director of Gecko Robotics Middle East, and we're going to be breaking down the brand new deal that they just signed with ADNOC and what it looks like moving forward. So, Harvey, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me today, Nicholas.
All right. Would you, real quick, just break down the deal that Gecko Robotics has with ADNOC recently?
My pleasure. So we have 3 deals that I'm very excited to tell everyone about. The first one is what we're working on for a very long time now, about 18 months, is an enterprise software license for ADNOC Gas that brings Cantilever, Gecko's platform for managing AI and robotics, to the entire value chain to ADNOC Gas. Now, the second deal is a commitment to invest in the ADNOC Technical Academy, where we're going to be training the next generation of operational leaders and technical experts on this cutting-edge technology, as well as co-developing new robotic capabilities to bring to the field. And then the third deal that we're looking at is how can we fly the same mechanisms, the same research, and the same attitude that we have with ADNOC Gas to bring everything I just described to the rest of the group.
All right. So now that you've secured these massive deals, do you have a strategy for ensuring that they're going to be mutual success?
Absolutely. The first and foremost, most critical, urgent thing that we do is to make sure that our customers experience the value as quickly as possible. So that's what led to this success in the first place in the region. ADNOC gave us a chance. They saw emerging technology, the team that were motivated and delighted to be getting dirty, getting in the field and deploying the tech to prove it works. We then used that opportunity to do nothing other than prove the value, get people excited about the tech. The thing that's really exciting for me is all of this that's happened so far happened purely from the engineers at the site level, spreading the word, the appreciation for the technology, and that's how we got to where we are today.
When you say engineers on the site level, you mean like ADNOC engineers just learning about what you're doing outside of you guys and then just bringing that up to the top?
Absolutely. So the site guys deployed across Habshan, Das Island, ADNOC Gas's flagship sites where we started our operations. We had a short window to perform a pilot during an incredibly busy turnaround period where if you get one thing wrong, the repercussions can be enormous. So, thankfully we were able to deliver during that pressing time. And the repercussions of that is that engineers appreciated us and they invited us for an X1. They then told their friends, they then told the other sites, and before you know it, we've spread across all of that now, Gas.
That's quite impressive, especially since I know the tendency when you demo something, everything always goes wrong. So it really speaks to the strength of the product, honestly, that you were able to have such a successful exhibition.
Absolutely. On the vendor side, the supplier side, the technologist side, you often find that whenever you demo, something inevitably goes wrong. On the customer side, they often find that once you get past the demo level, that's when the technologist starts letting you out.
Oh, sure.
For us, we knew that this was the point where we had to let the technology speak for itself and then to listen to the customer and to understand exactly where it worked, where it did. And that time was so precious for not just around this middleware across as well to make sure the relationship was right.
All right. Awesome. So now that you've gotten this deal with ADNOC Gas, do you see Gecko entering other industries outside of energy in this region?
Yeah, we get asked about this a lot. Frankly, when we arrived in the region, we looked at ADNOC not just for their assets, not just for their operations, or for the strategic vision that they saw, their appreciation for technology and their endless ambition. Now, there are other organizations in the region that have that kind of vision, but nothing that's quite matched ADNOC, at least what we've seen.
Yeah.
Now, the robots themselves have utility across mining, manufacturing, all sorts of power utilities. It's one thing to deploy the robots, it's another thing to align with the leaders of those industries so that they can understand that, what we can do today is not where we're stopping. We're also thinking 5, 10, 15 years in the future as to what a facility of the future might look like. Those are the partners that we're looking with. So what sits at the intersection of ambition and compatibility is where we'll go next.
All right. On that related note, ADNOC moves a lot faster than most of this industry. So now that you've secured this deal with ADNOC, do you see the rest of the industry coming to more of Gecko robotic type solutions with advanced analytics? Do you see that in the future and with Gecko?
I do. I see there are a couple of trends that I'm seeing at the moment that we have to kind of walk through. The first one is that, quite frankly, software is becoming saturated.
Yeah.
So everybody has a digital twin. They're very good digital twins, in my ad, but everybody's got one. And it's really a question of which one's going to be most compatible for your organization. And that's what organizations do, just the right strategy. Now, the other trend I'm seeing is the data feeding those digital twins is insufficient.
Okay.
So what we're able to do is to pair that with our robotics that can identify the gaps in data, but then go in and build a collector So with digital twin experience, it's a lot richer, a lot more precise, a lot more accurate. So that's one trend that we're seeing at the moment. Now, the other trend we're seeing as well is what I described about the operation of the facility for teaching. Now, it's one thing to introduce this technology and to maybe start ramping up. It's another thing to do that with care and with attention. And what I mean by that is if you turn up with a lot of equipment, most people won't know where to put it, what capacity, and there's a lot of trust that has to be built up. So we need to lay the groundwork at the moment to create a foundational level of data that will inform where the robots go, what they do, so they can inform reliability. So that's the second trend I'm doing, is that organizations like ADNOC are investing in that foundation now, preparation for the future. And then the third trend I'm seeing is a lot of providers are attracted to the region for the innovation, but the barrier to entry is high. I mentioned this pilot phase where it's all or nothing, and to prove it, you need to get it right. What that means is organizations like ADNOC, they'll give you the window to prove the tech, but if your tech isn't the real deal, you'll quickly find out.
Okay. So then on that note, and as well on the note of the space being oversaturated, how has your product suite evolved and now continues to evolve to meet the needs of your clients?
Absolutely. So, one of the things I enjoy the most about robotics, like it in the field, is you get to be shoulder to shoulder with the end user. So, we deploy our Toby 5, for example, which is a robot that can navigate storage tanks. While we're there, we're talking to other asset unit operators that tell us about their problems with cooling line, flare line, suite of pressure disease. While we're there, the people on site with them, they're not salespeople, they're engineers. So they start developing the pieces with the customer to go back to the lab. They start tinkering the robots, and then we introduce the new capability born on the field. So, that's how our robot evolution is kind of gone. With regards to software, building software, it's difficult, but it's not that difficult.
Okay.
What's hard is how you treat your data. So one of the best investments I think Gecko has made long before IRI was in the handling as to how we localize, validate the data. Now, anybody that works in robotics will know that that's the most important thing for how you build your robots, how you handle the data be correct. Gecko has been doing that for the past 12 years or so. So the evolution of data validation has meant that the richness and the accuracy of the data gives us such a huge advantage at still operating the software, because the results that predictive analytics are followed by. So that's unexpectedly allowed us to leapfrog with our feature set, especially with this wave of AI, because as the barrier to entry for AI lowers, we start to onboard more features. We're finding that our robust data is giving us that advantage. So that's where we're making the further investments in.
Okay. Very nice. It seems as well you have a distinct advantage in working this because of how flat your organization is. Having your engineers have a ton of autonomy.
Right.
And I was actually speaking with one of your colleagues on Monday about how much he values that there's a true startup culture at Gecko Robotics. How do you think that's been a huge advantage to you guys outside of just being able to have your engineers make lots of decisions? How do you foster that as a leader?
Yeah, absolutely. The short answer is, best idea wins.
Okay.
Whether you're an intern or you're the CEO, and I think you've met Jake, our CEO.
Not yet.
Oh, you'll meet him this week for sure. But if you meet him, you'll find that there's very little ego there. So if you as an intern come up with an idea, he'll hear it out, he'll test you, and he'll make sure that you thought through. If it's a good idea, the next week you could be in the lab building that idea with a team of 5. And I've seen that breathed into action multiple times. The flip side of that is you as a leader, you need to be prepared to be humbled as well. There have been numerous occasions where I might have got it wrong, but the key lesson here is best idea wins, and we try to operate on a meritocracy where people are recognized for those contributions, teams form around them, then it kind of ebbs and flows along that career. One time you might be a manager leading a product, another time you could be an IC working on someone else's idea. We don't really care as long as the idea is good.
That's really, honestly, sounds quite incredible. How do you find those people that are so willing to kind of be going with that flow and stuff, those self-starters, those highly motivated individuals?
Absolutely. Frankly, it's a motley crew of misfits. Of artists and poets and engineers. It's not always smooth. Sometimes you get things wrong. Sometimes you might overinvest in an idea because romantically it looked pretty good. But the reality is, you look for people that are craving extreme ownership. You very quickly give them the responsibility to prove it. And what we find is most people will rise to the occasion. And the ones that don't, the next time the opportunity comes around, they're more humble and they think more about how they can enable it as owners. But the short answer is, reading for lifetime learners, with people that are enthusiastic about the tech. People that don't just want to hide them under the computer screen their whole career. They want to get in the field and see these things working.
Yeah.
They want to build products and software and see the real world impact that it can have inside. Those people, especially in this digital world, especially with the new generation, what it would impact and what they do, we're finding more of energy there.
All right. That's really exciting. So what's next on your horizon right now?
So, all these announcements have been the culmination of a lot of the impact we realized at ADNOC. Frankly, we've been here for 3 years. We've been working most exclusively with ADNOC Gas. I look at the entire ADNOC value chain. I look at the opportunity. I look at the ambition. And honestly, I think we could be in a 10x situation this time next year.
Yeah.
So I want to have my robots deployed the whole finding or the ADU sour gas offshore, not just giving them the products that we have at gas, but listening to them, being shoulder to shoulder with their engineers, coming up with new products that are not just ideated in the UAE, they're designed, built, manufactured, and deployed in the UAE, and then eventually across the rest of the GCC and across North America.
Okay. And I'm also wondering about your iteration cycle for building physical robots, because I think there's an interesting challenge in this industry where plants have been designed for human inspection, right? They're not designed for a robot that looks like Gecko's flagship necessarily to do everything. So how do you combat that challenge in robot design? How long does that take?
Yeah, so this is a really good question. There's a lot of ways I could take it. The first thing I'll say quickly is, I've spoken a lot about the advantage of being a robot and software company. There's also disadvantages, right? The development cycles, as you know, are a lot longer.
Yeah.
To get it wrong, it's a lot more expensive. There's just so much more at stake. So you're absolutely right that we need to be incredibly intentional about the robots we build. And then the second thing you said is, some of these assets are 50 years old, right?
Yeah.
And we're building robots that can keep them alive much longer than they were ever intended to be kept alive.
Yeah.
So there's a sustainability aspect there. Look, we've invested so much in this critical infrastructure. It's working, and we can make it have a more useful extended life. So if we can do that, we're absolutely going to do that, because that makes sense for multiple reasons. For it's energy preservation, for maintaining throughput, but also, do we really want to reinvest in something when the equipment we've got is just as good? Yeah. So we build robots to address that. Now, again, the exciting thing about ADNOC is they're expanding their facilities, so they're developing new facilities alongside their legacy facilities. Gecko Robotics want to do is inform the facility of the future, not just with autonomous robots, but based on the mountains and terabytes and petabytes of data we've collected, inform the design standards of those assets. Because there's a lot of lessons we've learned with damage mechanisms as to how we can avoid them in the future with better design.
Okay. In addition to informing design based off of what you've seen for damage and maintainability, do you see a future in which plants are designed to be inspected by robots and not humans?
Take a step further, I see a world where the assets themselves are capable of inspecting themselves.
Okay.
So, multi-sensor components layered in between the installation of an asset, a docking station where a robot can be rested, and condition-based deployment. As soon as an algorithm detects that susceptibility might be high, the robot immediately deploys to close the gap. We use pattern signatures based on that foundational data layer I spoke about to identify damage before it becomes damage in the first place. We're getting into the sci-fi land now, but it all starts with the foundational data layer that we're creating here.
Okay. Well, honestly, what you're describing doesn't even sound too sci-fi. It sounds a lot like how a distributed control system looks like in a power plant, Yeah. So do you see as literally just almost incredibly advanced DCS systems in plants where you're not just monitoring process controls, but you're also monitoring wall health?
Precisely. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a neglected part from a technology point of view. It's a neglected part of the industry. If you think about all of the advancements and technologies, they came from Shell, they came from process optimization.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see the same revolution in asset management as well, and integrity services.
Okay, that's incredibly exciting. And I know that sensors take unbelievably long amounts of time to develop. Do you think that the foundational technology in terms of how we can sense these types of things is there yet?
Yes. So I believe long time to develop. What we're seeing is a decline across the time in manufacturing these sensors. I probably can't speak about some of the things that I've seen in development just yet. Of course. I have seen incredibly simple and elegant solutions that are highly Bufiji that I fully expect to be across all assets and all facilities in the next 10 years.
Okay. And are you doing these things completely in-house, or do you depend on like academia, for example, in sorts of ways?
So we have a lot of partnerships with universities. A lot of our best robotic engineers, civil engineers came from Carnegie Mellon University, Pennsylvania. We're looking at partnerships here in the UAE with the University of AI, Khalifa University. The best ideas also come from regulators, believe it or not.
Okay.
Because they can tell you over time how this thing's evolved as the risk has evolved. All of these kind of culminate in what we can do today and what we feel is going to happen tomorrow. And that forms the basis of our product thesis.
Okay.
Nothing trumps what we see in the field because we just want to address the most urgent goals.
Yeah. There's a kind of an interesting paradox where you said where the best ideas come from regulators. When you're working in the UAE, that's not necessarily the priority, is the regulation. So I'm interested, are there any particular challenges that might come out of being active somewhere that doesn't necessarily that focuses on minimizing regulation, to my understanding, versus increasing regulation? Is that something that you might find to be like challenging at some point, that they're not regulating and you're not able to be pushed in certain ways?
To an extent, when I speak of regulation, I'm talking, compliance standards and codes such as ASME, American Petroleum Institute. Now, but that is still with its own challenges because those standards were designed for the technology of today existed. So a lot of them are based on averages, a lot of them are conservative, where when you have, high volume, high fidelity data, it doesn't necessarily need to be the case. When it comes to working with ADNOC, honestly, they take regulation very seriously in regards to who can get outside equipment through on the site. The biggest challenge there is, we have a lot of stuff in the pipeline that we'd like to bring to site. But in order to get on site, there's a lot you need to go through, right? And I understand safety, HSE is priority number one, absolutely. Again, this is why I'm so excited about the ADNOC Technical Academy, because it allows us to bring cutting edge technology, prove it on real retired assets, classroom, so then we can justify bringing it on site, pass the regulations, get it into the field.
Okay. I want to ask a question about your career real quick, because I don't know if you were warned, but I do run a podcast based on career paths. And I'm very curious. Before this, you were at Palantir for about 7 to 8 years. Being ex-Palantir is quite a brand. Are there any key learning strategies or frameworks that you've brought into your work as managing director and the deployment lead before in the past for Gecko that you've picked up from your time at Palantir?
Absolutely. There's actually a lot that goes back right at Palantir as well. For me, it kind of started with just, like you, I imagine, a real genuine passion and enjoyment of technology. And I see it within my colleagues. I think I see it in you as well.
Thank you.
I chose not to pursue college, university, because I had a job offer at PayPal and eBay, which I thought, great, I get to get paid to play with all this tech for free. That's kind of where it started. Palantir for me was my university. That's where everyone around me was so much better than me, and there's so eager to level me up and help me learn and make themselves available to make sure that I could rise to their level. So it was absolutely transformative to me. It didn't just teach me that work can be fun, but it taught me that work, it can be a purpose, it can be a high calling, and the community of people you surround yourself is what will make the difference.
Okay. Well, I wish I could go deeper into your career, quite frankly, because I would very much enjoy that. But unfortunately, I think I might get yelled at. And also, I want to be respectful of your time. But thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a really true pleasure talking with you. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you for having me. Let's get you introduced to Jake, I say.
That sounds good. And actually, before we go, because we do have a couple more minutes, is there any last things that you'd like to share that maybe about Gecko or about your own career or anything before we go?
No, I think I've spoken enough about being. Say, there's definitely an energy here at ADIPEC. I imagine you've spoken to a lot of exciting companies. I would encourage anybody to come check it out. If you can walk around, speak to these people, you'll meet a lot of enthusiastic people like me. Tell you what they're doing. And I'd like to extend a thank you to Dr. Sultan and to ADNOC for putting on such an extraordinary event.
Of course. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicholas.